Okay, I'll start.
You start the class, madam.
Okay, so today's topic is sterilization and disinfection. As we have discussed before, this is a most important topic. Uh, it is going to be a most important topic during this COVID era and even after COVID era. Okay, so as you understand, Lister was the one who devised that aseptic technique, which means to prevent contamination of surgical wounds. Okay. This is because nosocomial infection caused death in 10% of surgeries, and then 25% of mothers delivering in hospital died due to infection. So he was the one who first devised this aseptic technique for surgical wounds. So before going into topic, this is also one important classification called as Spalding classification. So he is the one who categorized system for medical devices based on the risk of infection associated with their use. So to choose disinfection or sterilization protocols for various medical devices, he has assigned one of the three categories. So here they are critical. So critical means a device that enters normally sterile tissue or the vascular system where the blood flows. So these devices are example surgical instruments, needles, intravascular catheters. So all these critical instruments should undergo sterilization. I will let you know what do you mean by what is meaning of sterilization and what is meaning of disinfection. So next thing is semi-critical, which means a device that comes into contact with intact mucous membrane and does not ordinarily penetrate the sterile tissue. So these are like scopies, like laryngoscopes, thermometers, flexible endoscopes. Okay, all these devices should receive at least HLD, which means high level disinfection. I'll come back to you. What do you mean by that high level disinfection? And third category is non-critical. This means a device that originally does not come into contact with the patient or touches only the intact skins. So this means example bedpan, blood pressure cuffs, stethoscopes. These devices should be cleaned by low level disinfection. So this is actually you can see the entire thing in one slide, like patient contact. The first category is intact skin, second category mucous membrane or non-intact skin, and third category sterile areas of body, that is vascular system. You are going to penetrate the skin or other tissue, then enter the sterile areas. So here these are the example and device classification. For intact skin it is non-critical, and then mucous membrane or non-intact skin it is semi-critical, sterile areas it is critical. Accordingly, what is the minimum level of disinfection you have to do is, for intact skin you have to, any devices or procedure means it is low level or intermediate level disinfection you have to use. So if you are going for the devices which comes into contact with mucous membrane or non-intact skin, then it is you have to do high level disinfection, and anything which goes into the sterile areas of body you have to do the sterilization. Is that clear? Okay. So now we see what do you mean by sterilization and disinfection. Sterilization means it is process of freeing an article or a surface from all microorganisms including their spores. And then disinfection. Disinfection means destruction or removal of all pathogenic organisms to a point where they no longer cause disease, and mostly they do not kill spores, but some will kill spores. Disinfection totally, I can't say that they don't kill spores, but some of them will kill spores. So I'll get back to that when I go to the slide. Okay. So now we will just rush through some of the definitions. You know what is a bacteriostatic agent that prevent the multiplication of bacteria, but that does not kill them. And then bactericide, an agent that kills bacteria. Most do not kill endospores. And then sporicide is an agent that kills spores. Okay. So now we go to a question. This is a revisit of your first class. So endospores of Bacillus subtilis are characterized by all of the following except lack of metabolic activity, high calcium content, lack of dipicolinic acid, and greater resistance. So which could be the answer? Can anybody tell? What is the choice? Anyone, please? This is a revisit of a previous topic. Case Monesh wrote. Then Sakshi. Vishal, can you answer? Endospore of Bacillus subtilis are characterized by all the following except. Anybody? Vishal, Sakshi, Jayashree. Anybody can answer this question?
Option D.
Option D. How can, because, read the question again. Endospores of Bacillus subtilis are characterized by all of the following except. So three are correct, one is wrong. So you see greater resistance is wrong. Shall I go to the answer? So the choice is lack of dipicolinic acid. So I'll explain because all the spores, Bacillus subtilis is a spore forming arrow. So it will have any spore formings or spores will have lack of metabolic activity. They will have high calcium content. They will have greater resistance, and all the spores will have dipicolinic acid. That is a chemical component of a spore. So only when they have that, they will component, the spore chemical component is that. So there should be presence of dipicolinic acid. So that is the answer. So now we revisit. Here spores are highly resistant at resting change, and then sporulation. It's actually not a method of reproduction. That is why metabolic activity will be low. So it requires influx of calcium as a stimulus. So calcium content will be more. You can see actual spore by these staining techniques, Gram-Stein and Zeal-Nielsen method also you can see. And other factors which are contributing the resistance are picolinic acid, thick spore coat, and low water content. Is it clear? Okay. Why I am talking about spore? Because we are going to see about the sterilization method, which means it kills spores. Is that okay? So here again one more question. The cleaning process that is required for all instruments that penetrate the skin or that come in contact with normally sterile areas of the tissues and the internal organs. A, sterilization, B, disinfection, C, ultrasonic cleaning, and D, sanitization. So which will be the choice? Anybody? So according to the Spalding classification, so what is the category it is? Anyone? I'd like little bit interaction here. So anybody, any one of you can tell me the answer.
Sterilization.
Yes, exactly. So why do you say? Why do you say? So this means that critical instruments, devices, which the process here it is a critical one. So which means it goes and penetrate the skin or come in contact with the normally sterile areas. So definitely you have got to do sterilization. Okay, so that is the answer. So now we go to the methods of sterilization. So the microbial control methods, sterilization methods, we have got, as you can see in the flow chart. Are you able to see? Physical agents, chemical agents, and mechanical removal methods. These are the methods of sterilization. This is, and I will brief about the physical methods. You can see all these, learn all this from your Panikkar topic also, but still I will just brief it. So physical agents, you can it is by heat or radiation, and heat you can further classify by dry heat or moist heat. And dry heat examples are incineration or dry oven or otherwise hot air oven. And moist heat sterilization you can do by steam under pressure, which is otherwise the name is called as sterilization. And then you can moist heat also, which means boiling of water, or pasteurization method, that is you can do only disinfection, which means you don't kill spores. So any process which I say disinfection means mostly it doesn't kill spores. Okay, so another method of physical agent we are using is a radiation. So radiation can be ionizing and non-ionizing. And ionizing agents are X-rays, cathode and gamma. All these things can cause sterilization. And non-ionizing agent, it is ultraviolet. So it is only a disinfection. So this is another thing you will come across during COVID time. You can see many uh, people are selling like UV lights or UV bulbs or UV boxes, isn't it? You would have seen, sorry, you would have seen all those advertisements. So it is a disinfection, like it can kill the COVID virus, because COVID virus is an enveloped virus. So most of the things can kill, most of the disinfection procedures can kill the COVID virus. So this is only a disinfection, ultraviolet light, but it doesn't cause sterilization. Okay. So I'll go to the next slide. Shall I? So this is in brief about physical agents. Shall I move to the next slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So next is chemical agents. So chemical agents. So I have that is the entire the previous slide will show about all the physical agents, and then this slide will show about the chemical agents. So chemical agents, it can be a gas or it can be a liquid. So gas can be, you can use it as a sterilization and disinfection. I will come across what are the gases you will use in practice for the sterilization or disinfection. And liquids, chemical agents, the liquids which are used on inanimate and animate. So typically, a liquid chemical agents which is used on animate, so which means skin disinfectant, we have discussed it is a alcoholic hand rub. That is an example. So it is an antiseptic which are used on disinfecting agent which are used on animals. So chemical agents, it is mostly for disinfection. So when you use on animates, it is called as antiseptic. When you use on inanimate, they are disinfectants. And some of the liquids can be a sterilizer as well. Okay, this is an overall view. And mechanical removal. So mechanical removal is mostly by filtration. So either air filtration or liquid filtration. Air is disinfection and liquids are sterilization. Okay. So these are the main three methods of sterilization: physical agents, chemical, and mechanical. So these are physical agents, these are chemical agents, these are mechanical methods. Okay. And for any sterilization method, you have got a control, which means you will know. Mostly you use this for autoclave and hot air. So you want to assess whether the procedure, sterilization procedure which you have done is correct or not. So you can assess that at a physical level, assess that at the chemical level, or a biological. So which is a physical indicator, a chemical indicator, or a biological indicator. Physical indicators are mostly thermocouples, so which is mostly a temperature or a pressure, which you can see outside. You can see a temperature gauge, the set temperature which you want, or which you want for a sterilization procedure, or a pressure. and that is physical control. Next is chemical control. This again a chemical dye or a strip which can be used. Before sterilization, it will be in one color. So after sterilization procedure, it will change to the dye will change to a different color. So that is an indicator like your sterilization procedure has went well. And third one is a biological control. So here we use sport of non-toxigenic strains of Clostridium tetani or Bacillus subtilis. It depends on what sterilization mechanism method you are using accordingly. So after 48 hours, you incubate following sterilization, that biological indicator. Then you incubate in incubator. After 48 hours, you can see there will be a color change, or you can subculture on a plate see for the growth of the species. Okay, so this is very very important. Unless you do a sterilization control, you won't know whether you are doing a sterilization procedure properly or not. Is that clear? So this is very very important in a hospital. I don't know, in a hospital setup you would have visited area called CSSD. Can anybody tell the explanation for CSSD? Anybody? So it is called as Central Sterile Services Department, CSSD. Any hospital you go, it is mandatory. That is where they do all the autoclaving procedure, sterilization procedure. So if you go there, you can see all those controls like sterilization controls will be there. Okay. So do you follow it? Okay.
Yes.
So this is mandatory. You even if you own your own hospital and if you are doing surgeries, then you will have to have all these things. So physical methods I'll rush through. You know, sunlight is the most important one due to a UV rays, and then drying also will kill, heat will kill. So in the heat, as I have told you, nature of the heat is more important, and temperature and time. All these things you can see in your Panikar book. I'm just briefing it. So what is the mechanism of action of dry heat is it kills organism either due to protein degeneration or denaturation or oxidative damage. Moist heat again denaturation and coagulation of protein. And this is an important thing, the term you have to familiarize yourself. It is thermal death point. So which is minimum time required to kill a suspension of organism at a predetermined temperature in a specified environment. Any of the sterilization procedures will have to define this thermal death point. Okay. So this is hot air woven, as I told you. This is a method utilizes dry heat. It sterilizes the article with heat elements, and this is the important principle. Like they'll ask you what is the principle of hot air woven. It is here you the set temperature is 160 degrees C for 1 hour. This is the desirable thing. So this you must remember. So with this set, you can sterilize whatever the instruments you want to sterilize. So I can see the image here, isn't it? Are you able to see? Okay, you need a fan. So I'm not going to tell in detail about what is the hot air oven. So that red marked one, a holding period of 160 degrees C for 1 hour. Principle here is dry heat sterilization. So mostly it is used to sterilize glasswares, forceps, scissors, scalpels, then all glass syringes, liquid paraffin, uh, and then for one, sometimes you can set the time for 2 hours as well. So either 160 degrees C for 1 hour or 2 hours. And then sharp instruments, cutting instruments, mostly which is used for ophthalmic surgery, you can sterilize with hot air oven and oil glycerol. Uh, so this is the important thing. Uses and disadvantage. It is a bad conductor of heat, and then it penetrates. Penetrating power is low. So now we go to a question. Bacterial spores are best destroyed by UV rays, autoclaving, hot air oven, infrared rays. So which will be your choice? Anybody? Huh?
Autoclave.
Exactly. Autoclave is the best one. That is the choice. So that is the right answer. Why? Because it is a principle for autoclave is steam under pressure. So at 121 degrees C, 15 minutes and 15 pounds of pressure. This is very important. So this is the principle of autoclave. So here even the spores will germinate and then the vegetative forms will be released and that will be killed. In hot air oven it is very difficult because penetrating power is not there. So only it's steam under pressure but it will kill. So other materials which here it sterilizes linens, culture media, so other surgical instruments also you can do. And biological control which we use here, spores of Bacillus thermophilus. This they might ask. Huh? I'll get back to that when I just brief about apply. Okay. So moist heat now we have seen dry heat sterilization. So now moist heat sterilization mainly by coagulation the protein. So moist heat can be temperature below 100 degrees C, temperature at 100 degrees C, and steam under pressure, or that is above 100 degrees C. So below 100 degrees C, the methods are pasteurization and inspisation. At 100 degrees C, it is boiling, and above 100 degrees C, it is steam under pressure, it is autoclave. So what is pasteurization? So pasteurization is process of killing of pathogens in milk but does not sterilize it. So here there are two methods, Holders and flash process. In Holders method, it is 63 degrees C for 30 minutes, and flash it is 72 degrees C for 15 to 20 seconds, and then rapid cooling to 13 degrees C. So all mycobacteria, brucella, salmonella. So what are we expect in the, so if this kills means most of the viruses will also be killed. Okay, they are all destroyed. So you have to memorize this temperature and that holding time. So this is pasteurization. And next method is less than 100. One more method is inspisation. So here it is heating at 80 to 85 degrees C for 30 minutes for 3 successive days. So here first day you heat, it kill all the vegetative bacteria, and second day the spores might germinate if it is there, and third day the germinated spores, so that vegetative forms will be killed. That is why it says 3 successive days, because more than that that article or whatever the thing which is sterilized will be degraded. So anything which can withstand higher temperature you can sterilize by this process which is called as inspisation. So here the most important media used here is Lowenson Jensen's Douglas. So this you must have learned in your microbiology classes practical. So any egg-based media or serum-based media you can sterilize by this process called as inspisation. Okay. So next we go to temperature at 100 degrees C. Now we have seen below 100 degrees C, which is pasteurization and inspisation. Now temperature at 100 degrees C, it is boiling. So it kills vegetative forms of all bacterial pathogens, and hepatitis virus can uh, survive after 30 minutes. So if you boil for more than 30 minutes, you can kill hepatitis. And but then endospores will not be killed. It can survive up to 20 hours. Boiling will not kill the spores. Is it clear? Okay. Now we go to another thing called as for media containing sugar or gelatin. Here it is 100 degrees C for 20 minutes for 3 successive days. So this is called as tyndallization. So inspisation is 80 to 80 degrees C for 30 minutes for 3 successive days. Tyndallization, here the temperature is 100 degrees C. Holding time here is 20 minutes, but for 3 it's the same. So tyndallization is otherwise called as intermittent sterilization. So those media which cannot again withstand higher temperature. So sugar and gelatin exposure. Okay. Now we go to higher temperature, and mostly it is steam under pressure. This is autoclave. So it was invented by Charles Chamberlain, and mainly the principle of autoclave is steam under pressure. So here steam, the temperature is 121 degrees C for 15 minutes, and pressure also you have to tell it is 15 pounds. Okay. So most important thing, as I have told you, the sterilization control here, physical, chemical and biological. So physical, you use thermocouples, which is temperature and pressure gauges will be there outside the autoclave. And then chemical, it is Brown's tube, which will turn to green. I'll show you all those photographs. And biological, here the biological indicator which we use for autoclave is spores of Bacillus thermophilus. You can read about all these sterilization control for other equipments also in your Panikar. Okay, you can go and get that there. So this image which you are seeing is the tubes, green and red tubes are that chemical brown is tube. So it will be green in color. Once the autoclave is done, it will it will be red in color. Then it will turn to green color after autoclaving. So that was the old method. Nowadays you can see this strip. This is also a chemical indicator. So this strip you pack along with the things which you autoclave. So after autoclave, you check this. This indicator will have passed. So previously it will not turn black. But once you autoclave, so are you able to see that black color? Anybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So it has to cross this area. So which means it is accept. You can see the words reject and accept. So if you cross that only, your autoclave sterilization or your chemical indicator has passed. Otherwise, it is failed. Which means your autoclave technique is not correct. You will have to re-sterilize all the things which are put in that autoclave. So this is very, very important. So nowadays, these color tubes they are not using. They are using strips like this. So it is available in different color forms and different ways. So it goes with the manufacturer instructions. So these are the above two are the chemical indicator. The below one you can see is the biological indicator. The vials will have the spores. So that will be in one color. So after autoclave procedure is done, you take that thing and it will be incubated for 48 hours. So accordingly, there will be a color change, then which means the test pass. So here also the same, only thing is biological means you use an organism. So as I have told you, spores of Bacillus thermophilus. So these are the sterilization control, physical control, chemical control and biological control. They will ask any questions related to this. Is that clear? Okay. And this one is Bovidix test pack. This is a paper thing which will be again packed. So here, as I have told you, autoclave is a steam under pressure. So you want to know the steam has penetrated every area. So you can see this paper. You can see that yellow color paper is unprocessed. So after you autoclave it, it should change. The entire paper, that yellow color should change to black color, which means your equipment has passed the test. And suppose you can see any blotches. You can see in the third image, na? This for vacuum sterilizer, you can see some hazy color in the center, which means your steam has not penetrated properly to that fully through the whole thing. Is that clear? So these are the controls which we use. Okay, shall I proceed to the next slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so as you know, this is the autoclave. So this I am not going to enumerate anything. You can learn that from here. It's a traditional autoclave. You can see the pressure gauge. Here, temperature. These are the thermocouples. Pressure gauge and temperature gauge will be here. These are the different vertical autoclave, horizontal autoclave. The first one which you are seeing is the benchtop autoclave. Sometimes you do a flash sterilization. So flash autoclaves are kept inside the operation theaters. Suppose a surgeon, he slips the instrument down. It's a very critical instrument. You won't have time to go and sterilize in the central sterile service department. So you use this flash autoclaves. I have not put that here. It will be similarly like this, like benchtop one. Only thing is you use a higher temperature, 130 degrees C for 3 minutes. So these are the things you will come across. Okay. Now the question here is the disadvantage of boiling as a method of disinfection is all except it is not effective for rubber gloves. Uh, one of the four is wrong. So it is only soft water can be used, does not destroy spores, kills vegetative bacteria at 100 degrees C for 30 minutes. So which one? Shall I give the answer? So why? All the first three are correct. The rubber block gloves will melt. Any water we can use, even hard water can be used. Yes, it does not destroy spores. So vegetative bacteria 100 degrees C for 30 minutes is the wrong one because uh, bacteria can be killed. Only virus, hepatitis virus takes 30 minutes. So it is 15 minutes is more than enough for vegetative bacteria. It kills. Okay, 10 to 15 minutes. So next question. Hot air oven is used for sterilizing all except glassware, dusting powder, sharp instruments, distilled water. So which one? Is glassware the correct choice? Anybody? So which will be the answer? Three are correct, one is wrong.
Distilled water.
Distilled water. Why? So what procedure you will use to sterilize distilled water?
Chlorination.
Chlorination? No, distilled water is the right choice. You do autoclaving. So chlorination doesn't effectively kill all the spores. So that is one way. But in the hospital, you use distilled water for all the invasive procedures and for equipments and all now. So you have to sterilize it. So which will completely remove the spores. So the best method is autoclaving. Okay, your choice of answer is correct. The method which how we sterilize distilled water is by uh, um, autoclaving. So if you chlorinate, that will inhibit, that will interfere with all the process. So chlorination, you can chlorination do the distilled water, I mean chlorination of distilled water as well, but then it won't be useful for the procedures. Drinking water you can chlorinate, but not distilled water. Is it clear? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So hot air oven, dry heat sterilization for 1 hour. I am again recapping. So used for sterilizing glassware, dusting powder, fat and grease, and sharp instruments. I have told you ophthalmic instruments and all. No, you can use that. And sterilization control, which we use is spores of non-toxigenic strains of Clostridium tetani for sterilization or the biological control which we use here. For autoclave it is Bacillus thermophilus. For hot air oven it is non-toxigenic strains of Clostridium tetani. So that you must remember what is the biological control used. So question, wound dressing material. So what will be in the wound dressing? It will be a gauze, cotton, everything, isn't it? So it is best sterilized by incineration, dumping, burying, autoclaving. So which will be the
Incineration. Incineration.
incineration? Incineration, not everywhere it is available. So the choice is autoclaving. For sterile use purpose also you can autoclave. and then while you used wound material, suppose you have used for dressing, and then as a biological waste, have you destroy or dispose? For that you can do incineration, but that also important choice is autoclave. Anything you one for sterilization, one for decontamination. So you can do autoclaving for both as a sterilization or decontamination. But final is incineration. So incineration you burn it, isn't it? So if you burn it, you can't use. So for surgical wounds or dressing and all, it is only mainly autoclave. Is it clear? Okay. Okay, I'll go to next slide. Tyndallization is a type of intermittent sterilization, pasteurization, boiling, autoclaving. Which is your choice?
Intelligent sterilization.
Yes. What is the temperature? What is the temperature used? I have told you in the previous slide.
100 degrees.
100 degrees C for 20 minutes
20
for
minutes.
3 successive days. Inspissation, what is the temperature? It is 80 to 80 degrees C for 30 minutes for 3 successive days. Okay. So tyndallization is named after Tyndall for sterilization of media containing sugars or gelatin. So 100 degrees C for 20 minutes on 3 successive. So, but procedure is not sporicidal completely. Yeah, it is not sporicidal. Okay. Next question. The sterilization of heat labile instrument is by. Suppose if anything which is heat labile, like heat destroys. So what will be the best method? Steam, radiation, boiling, hot air oven. Whichever generates steam is again heat generating thing, na? So the question here is heat labile instruments, which cannot
Radiation.
withstand. Yeah, exactly. What type of radiation? Can you tell me?
Non-ionizing.
Excellent. So that is your choice. Non-ionizing radiation. Can you give me example of non-ionizing radiation?
UV radiation.
Huh?
UV.
UV
UV?
light.
UV rays.
No. UV I have told you is a ionizing. Non-ionizing is gamma rays. Okay. So gamma radiation is a non-ion. So what is the other name for that method? You'll be seeing later. It's a cold sterilization. Okay. Under low temperature. So now one of the following pair about sterilization is not true. It's liquid paraffin, dry heat, glass syringes, boiling at 100 degrees C, pasteurization of milk 80 degrees C for 5 minutes, vaccine formaldehyde. Which is the wrong choice? Liquid paraffin you can do dry
Option
heat.
C.
Huh? Option? Which option?
C.
C. Yes. Why? C is the option. That is
Pasteurization at 60 63 and 70.
excellent. So that
Flash and holder method.
yeah. So it is a higher temperature they have given. So that is the wrong choice. Okay, flash method 70 degrees C, 15 to 20 seconds. Holder method 63 degrees C. Okay, so that is the right choice. And another question: the efficacy of moist heat sterilization is determined by. So moist heat sterilization is method autoclaving. So what is the sterilization or biological control which used here? So
Option B.
B. Option B or D?
B.
Yeah.
Bacillus stay to thermophilus.
So spores of Clostridium tetani is used for hot air oven. Bacillus subtilis is used for like ethylene oxide. So that is not, that may not they ask you for undergraduate. But you have to remember for what is the biological control for autoclave or hot air oven. Okay. So it is a spore of thermophilic origin killed at 121 degrees in 15 minutes. Other methods, as I have told you, are sterilization control, chemical indicators, autoclave tapes, thermocouples. These are all the sterilization controls. Okay. So next we go to the radiation. I'll rush through. Two types of radiation, as I have told you, non-ionizing and ionizing. Non-ionizing is electromagnetic rays with longer wavelength, absorbed as heat, can be considered as a hot air sterilization. So here rapid mass or pre-packed syringes and catheters. So UV rays are used. Okay, UV rays or non-ionizing, or even you can use for disinfecting in between operations. Operation theaters can be disinfected. Like after the end of the day, you can switch on the UV light in an OT or in a laboratory where like nowadays PCR labs, they are using for COVID testing. The end of the day, you can switch on the UV lights that can disinfect the area. So they are non-ionizing radiation. So ionizing, very high penetrating power. They are X-rays, gamma rays, and cosmic. So there will not be any increase in temperature. So cold sterilization. Here again, plastic syringes, catheters, grease, anything which cannot withstand higher temperature. You can do cold sterilization. And there is another method called as ultrasonic and sonic vibration. They are all bactericidal. So this is not of practical value in sterilization. This is used in CSST. So forget about that. It actually cleans the biological load. Say following any surgery, they will clean the instruments, isn't it? Sometimes very tiny blood particles or tissues will be there. That can be removed by ultrasonic vibration. So now a question, which is a form of cold sterilization? Now you can answer. Gamma rays, beta rays, UV rays, infrared.
Gamma rays.
So choice is gamma rays. So gamma rays is for cold sterilization. So I have told you ionizing and non-ionizing. This again. So infrared, mass sterilization, UV rays, operation theaters, X-rays and gamma rays, high penetrating, plastic swab, syringes. Okay, mass sterilization. Even gamma rays, they have got gamma plants where they can sterilize all the pre-packed syringes, then disposable catheters, IV catheters, disposable intravenous catheters. All these things can be sterilized by gamma rays. So next, in physical methods, we have completed radiation, we have completed heat. Now we go to filtration. So this also I will rush. So remove bacteria. I have told you filtration, air and liquid. So here that liquids we can see the different types of filters, candle filters, asbestos, tinted glass, membrane. So of these membrane filters are more important, which we use in laboratory services. So bacteria from heat labile liquids, certain liquids or sera which cannot withstand higher temperature, or even sugar solution, antibiotic solution. So you can use by filtration. Most common method we use is membrane filters. So this is a candle filter. You can see, I'm just showing you the images. So mainly water, ceramic filter. You can see now all those earth filters. You can see, you can in the shops also they sell candle filters, for filtering the water, purifying the water. So these are the purpose of candle filters, and these are seats filters and asbestos filters. These are all sintered glass filters. Okay, they are all expensive, but most commonly we use membrane filters to separate. So this is by filtration technique. They are made of cellulose esters or other polymers. Membrane filters, water purification analysis, sterilization and sterility testing, preparation of solutions for parenteral use like IV solutions. Some of the things are in a sterile way, they filter it by membrane filters. Okay, those solutions which cannot withstand higher temperature. So now question, sterilization of serum containing culture media. You can answer right away. Autoclaving, membrane filter, gamma radiation, cell.
Membrane.
Yeah, membrane filters. Okay. So membrane filters, antibiotic solutions, toxins, blood products, purification of water can be used. Candle filters, purification of water. But then asbestos filters, seeds filters nowadays they are not used. So you can just for academic purpose you can learn. So now we go to chemical methods or otherwise disinfections. Some of the chemicals also kill spores. So we'll come across that. So chemical agents are by protein coagulation, disruption of cell membrane, all these methods by which they act. So here you have to understand what is an antiseptic, what is a disinfectant. Antiseptic are used on skin and mucous membrane. Disinfectants or other inanimate objects. I have told. So spores are usually not destroyed, but some of the disinfectant can destroy. We'll come across what are those chemicals which can destroy the spores. So who is this? Can anybody tell me? It's an important person, my favorite one.
Louis.
No, no. So he is actually Ignaz Semmelweis. He is father of infection control. So he was the one who told that cross contamination happens. So he made doctors to wash hands in chloride of lime before touching patient. So it has reduced the incidence of puerperal infection. So Ignaz Semmelweis is the father of infection control. Okay. So the history of antiseptics, they are all very important people. And then Joseph Lister, he was the one who found out carbolic acid or phenol for hand and wound during operation. Okay. So what are the properties of antiseptic and disinfectant? To say that this is a good disinfectant or an antiseptic, they should have a wide microbial activity. They should not. They should have good odor. They should not stain the skin or the other surface. They should be active against all pathogens. They should be active in the presence of pus, blood, or any biological fluid. They should be rapid acting. They should be non-irritating to the tissues if it is the skin that is affected. And if you use it on a surface, they should be non-corrosive. They are non-absorbable and non-sensitized. These are the important properties you can memorize and check it out in your Vanikar book. As I've told you, these are the different mechanisms. Oxidation of bacterial protoplasm, example hydrogen peroxide, halogens, potassium permanganate, coagulation or denatures, phenol, chlorhexidine, alcohol and aldehydes, and some chemicals which increase the permeability, they are cetramides and soaps. So these are the important things you should remember in a disinfectant: phenol derivatives, oxidizing agents, halogens, biguanides, quaternary ammonium compounds, alcohol, aldehydes, acids, metals. I'll be telling mostly about phenol, oxidizing, halogens, alcohols and aldehydes. So depending on the concentration also, say phenol, if it is used in 0.2%, it is an antiseptic. To increase the concentration, it is a disinfectant to 1%. Okay. So there are factors which affect the potency. To complete the topic, I will tell concentration of substance, right concentration you have to make. Say for example, like halogens, important halogen, you know the one important is sodium hypochlorite. So it has to be in appropriate concentration and it has to be prepared daily to make it as a very good disinfectant. Okay, you can't use the previous one. You have to reconstitute every day to 1% from the higher concentration. So that percentage is very important. Time of action, which means it will be effective only for 24 hours. And contact time 30 minutes. Contact time of the disinfectant also very important. You should not use it less than that time. Then pH of the medium, temperature, the nature of the pathogens on which it is acting, all those things are which affects the potency. So now we come to these important, you listen carefully. Now I will tell you what are high level disinfectant, what do you mean by intermediate, what do you mean by low level. So high level disinfection refers to treatment of medical devices and dental instruments that inhibits most viable organism except some spores and prions. So it can kill almost most of the spores, but prions will not be killed. Prions can be killed by autoclaving. Sorry, I forgot to tell that. Prions can be killed by autoclave at a higher temperature and for prolonged time, like 132 degrees C for 60 minutes can kill prions. Okay, please remember that. I forgot to mention that. And high level disinfection refers to reprocessing of semi-critical medical device. I have told you now, semi-critical means which come into contact with the mucous membrane, but they don't go to the other sterile area. So what are the things which enters the mucous membrane, which touches the mucous membrane? Tell me some semi-critical medical devices. Anybody? Yeah,
Endoscopy.
scopes, all the scopes. So all the scopes have to be sterilized by high level disinfection. And then intermediate disinfectants are chemicals that can kill microbial pathogens including mycobacteria and non-enveloped viruses, but not the spores. It cannot kill the spores, but it can kill the non-enveloped viruses. And then low level disinfectants are chemical which can kill most bacteria, but it can't kill mycobacteria or spores, and it can kill most viruses, non-lipid. So it cannot kill non-enveloped viruses. It can kill only envelope. And the COVID virus is an enveloped virus, so it can be killed even by low level disinfectant and some fungi as well. Okay. So question, which of the following is an intermediate level disinfectant? Glutaraldehyde, quaternary ammonium compound, hydrogen peroxide and iodophos. So here I will answer that question. So iodophores are the intermediate or iodine containing compounds. Okay. Glutaraldehyde is a high level disinfection. Hydrogen peroxide is a high level disinfection and disinfectant, and quaternary ammonium compound is a low level disinfectant. So intermediate are chemicals, that definition I have given. So alcohols, phenolic compound, iodophos, they are all intermediate level disinfectant. And glutaraldehyde and hydrogen peroxide are high level disinfectant. And quaternary ammonium compounds are low level. So they might ask a number of questions in these things. Okay, please remember that. So I will just brief about all the chemicals in another 5 minutes. Dr. Umesh, shall I take another 5 minutes? Is that okay? So
Yes, ma'am.
alcohols, ethanol, isopropyl alcohol. These are the most frequently used. It cannot kill spores, but the concentration is 60 to 90% is recommended. So you can see clinical thermometer, disinfection of the skin, like hand rub you are using nowadays. So all those things can disinfect, but they cannot kill the spores. Then aldehydes, as you have seen, formaldehyde and glutaraldehyde are frequently used. Formaldehyde is both bactericidal and sporicidal as well, and it is virucidal, kills viruses. Glutaraldehyde, it kills tubercle bacilli, fungi and viruses, and both are high-level disinfectants. The formaldehyde, these are used, you can check it out, and they sterilize the operation theaters as well. Glutaraldehyde, so most of the all the endoscopes are sterilized by glutaraldehyde, which is a preferred agent. So it is a high level disinfectant. Okay, endotracheal tubes, rubber anesthetics tubes, all the scopes. So next we go to phenols. So we have finished alcohol, aldehyde, phenols like Lysol and Crizol, which are used as a hospital disinfectant. They clean the hospital floors, walls. So these are the phenols. So various combination. And halogens, as I have told you, iodine and chlorine. Chlorine is the most important one. Hypochlorite solution in right concentration. In oxidizing agent, this again is very important. Hydrogen peroxide sterilization. It has got a new name called as plasma sterilization. This again is a low temperature. Apart from gamma radiation, Here low temperature, any articles which cannot withstand autoclaving can be sterilized by plasma sterilization. Many of the hospitals have these sterilizer. So hydrogen peroxide in a vacuum chamber. I'll rush this. So these are the plasma sterilizer which are present in some of the hospitals in a central sterile service department. So you can sterilize equipment like scopes or any heat sensitive equipments within 4 hours. So this is plasma sterilizer. The principle is they use the gas, agent hydrogen peroxide. So now we go to, in chemical sterilization, I finished liquids. Now we go to gases. Most important gas is ethylene oxide. It is colorless, highly penetrating gas, and it is effective against all microorganisms, included viruses and some of the spores. It is a low temperature sterilization. Okay. So ETO sterilizer. So in most of the hospitals, in a CSSD, they have autoclave for sterilizing heat, which can instruments which can withstand heat by autoclaving, which cannot withstand heat. They can do sterilization by ETO sterilization or plasma sterilizer. Plasma sterilizer, it is hydrogen peroxide. ETO, it is ethylene oxide. Only disadvantage is it is expensive, and then it is very dangerous. So it has to, the gas has to be released slowly for 24 hours. Then only you can open the sterilizer. Okay. So this is an ETO sterilizer in a hospital. So formaldehyde is also gas, as you know, fumigation of operation theaters. But nowadays, no one is using formaldehyde because it has got a carcinogenic potential. It's highly irritant. So they use in combination. So now we question, endoscopes are sterilized by ethylene oxide, irradiation, Sidex solution, hot air oven. Which is the preferred one? Endoscopes, which goes to, it is a semi-critical device. So which is the preferred one? Can anybody tell me? அவங்களுக்கு தெரியும் நீ நடந்துட்டு போயிட்டு வந்துட்டு இருக்கா வீடியோ ஆன் பண்ணி வச்சிருக்கேன். Can anybody tell me? Yes.
Okay.
Choice? What choice?
Ethylene.
Yeah. Ethylene oxide, ETO, yeah, they can use, but the most preferred one usually, endoscopes. It is Sidex solution. What is Sidex? It is nothing but 2% glutaraldehyde. As you know, scopes are sterilized by glutaraldehyde. This is the common, this name, pharmacological name, Sidex. Okay. So it is 2% glutaraldehyde with wide spectrum of activity on bacteria, fungi. So all these things, of course, you can do by ethylene dioxide also, but then it is you can't take it up for more than 24 hours. So usually they put that in all these copies, endoscopies, they sterilize by Sidex solution, which is 2% glutaraldehyde. So question, sterilizing agents are all except ethylene oxide, ether, alcohol, chlorhexidine. Which is the choice? 3 are correct, 1 is wrong. Anybody? Anyone? Which is wrong method? Swati, Jayashree, Vishal, Rakshi. Is ethylene oxide a sterilizing agent? What is ether actually? Ether is a... Can anybody hear me? It's an anesthetic agent, isn't it? So it is a misleading question. Okay? So explanation: alcohol, ethyl alcohol, methyl alcohol can, but they are not sporicidal. And clinical thermometers can be clean. Incubators you are clean with methanol. Chlorhexidine is nothing but Savlon. And ETO you sterilize heart lung machine, respirators and suture material. Ether is a anesthetic agent. Next question: all of the following are sporicidal except glutaraldehyde, alcohol, ethylene oxide, formaldehyde, stabilized hydrogen peroxide. Which is the right choice?
Alcohol.
Alcohol. Excellent. Why?
Does not kill the cold.
It's not spores, it's a disinfectant. Yeah. So these are the tests for disinfectant. So these are the different ways we test that disinfectant is correct. You can remember the name Riedel Walker test or Chick Martin test. So you use the test mainly to see the phenol coefficient. So this is the formula: dilution of the disinfectant by the corresponding dilution of the phenol, and you use that when you check it. So you can remember the name and principle of the test. So there is another thing called as Kelsey's size test. It measures the capacity of the disinfectant to retain its activity when you use repeatedly. So this is also a test. So you can remember the name: Kelsey's size test, Chick Martin test, Riedel Walker test. So question is: phenol coefficient indicates efficacy of the disinfectant, dilution, quantity, purity. Which one? Phenol coefficient. Anybody? Just try, attempt. We have come to the end of the session. Just one or two questions more. Anybody? Only 6 participants are there. Super. So anyone can try. Phenol coefficient indicates. Vishal, Jayashree,
Yes, ma'am.
Vishal, tell me. Oh, I have given the answer. It indicates efficacy of the disinfectant.
Yes, it is.
Okay, sorry. So while testing disinfectant, phenol is used as a standard. So and you express them as a phenol coefficient. So Riedel Walker test, we use suspension of typhoid bacilli, and Chick Martin suspension of dried yeast or feces are used. Okay, so you compare that. So it is a efficacy of a disinfectant only. It is called as phenol coefficient. So last question: all are true of Riedel Walker test except it is used for testing disinfectant. Similar quantities of organisms submitted. Testing done with suspension of 3%, and phenol coefficient obtained by the test is 1. Anyways, I can just provide you with the answer. These are in a textbook. It is not 3% dried feces is which test? It is, we go to Chick Martin test. Riedel Walker test uses typhoid bacilli. Okay. So this is the wrong answer. Other things are correct. Similar quantities of organisms. So that's all about sterilization, disinfectant. Hope I have covered all the areas. Still, you can go and read uh, your you can go and read your Panikkar and then you can brush it up. So any doubts, anybody? Vishal?
Mhm.
So any doubts, or shall I close the session?
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah. So any doubts here?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, what type of radiation will we use for heat labile instruments?
Heat labile instruments, mostly we go for gamma radiation.
Gamma radiation is ionized.
The choice, and sometimes we use UV rays, but then preferred one is gamma radiation. It has got a high penetrating power. UV rays is for just disinfection of theaters and then laboratories. They also use, if both choice are given, you prefer, your choice should be only gamma rays. If gamma rays are not there, then you go for UV rays. That is a non-ionizing radiation. But gamma rays is the ionizing one which has got a shorter wavelength. So it has got more penetrating power and it can kill the bacteria.
Okay, ma'am.
Any other? So how do you feel, was that session useful? I've introduced a couple of things like classification of disinfection levels, high level, low level, intermediate level. These are all very important. So you can go and see. And then most important one, use like hypochlorite solution. What is the percentage? What are the controls we use for autoclaving? All those things. Anybody else? Any questions? Dr. Umesh, shall I close the session? Dr. Umesh? Okay, it's already, I've gone past time. It's around 8:15, 10 minutes. I have taken almost extra time. I will close it.